Hello and welcome to my garden. I thought, seeing as we aren't able to meet, you might like to have a little look around my garden. It was terribly rainy last night, but today we have the sunshine and I'll take you through it. The front of the house has the majority of the sun during the day. It faces southwest, and so we're able to turn this into a gravel garden. Just looking now, this is the side of the house looking down the road. We live on quite a steep hill. So the gravel garden is flanked by a couple of phormiums, and I've got an awful lot of ornamental grasses in there, and that yucca that you can see is a special one called Yucca rigida, which grows up a bit like a pineapple. Going up the path now, this is a dry riverbed in pebbles that we put in this year just to give it another feature, and I have some colour here with some persicaria, which is the red and little pink flowers that you can see, and the blue agapanthus. The grass you can see right in front there is a Stipa tenuissima, known as Mexican feather ponytail. And the large grass at the back is a Miscanthus zebrinus. It has yellow stripes on the green leaves during the summer. Another Stipa gigantica there, and then a large Chusan palm, which actually is ideal for our climate because it stands really cold temperatures and has been in the garden now for about 10 years. Let's go through to the back of the garden now. So this is the side that gets the sun in the afternoon from about 2 o'clock. So we quite often sit here on this level side. And I like to have a lot of colour here because you'll see at the back of the garden is very shaded, and this is where I can grow some more of the plants that prefer that particular type of condition. More agapanthus that you can see there, and a phormium that we split in the spring, just making its entrance now. The basket that you can see in the middle is ready for the autumn. I've filled it with foliage plants, and the unusual lime and dark burgundy plants you can see are a potato vine, an ornamental sweet potato vine that should put on a lot of growth and drape right down over the baskets, hopefully. I have some containers there, also to bring colour in, and that is full of pelargonium and some of the black grass, which technically isn't actually a grass, and I can't even pronounce this, so forgive me, it's Ophthalmigon nigrescen. Here we've got lots of lupins that I've grown from seed and grasses that I've split, ready to go in. Either it could be going in the autumn or perhaps leave it till the spring so that the slugs don't eat them all. Here are some more grasses that I've done from seed, so I'm hoping that if I propagate lots of plants, someone will want to swap things with me so that I can have more plants for the back of the garden, which when we get there you will see is very shaded. Here are the tomatoes growing in my greenhouse, very green, not one red one as of yet. So we're now in the back of the garden, and this bed here does get some afternoon sun, and in it I grow various types of herbaceous perennials and shrubs. Pergola here is covered with a Clematis montana, which has beautiful pink flowers in the spring, and there we have an ivy, which name escapes me for the moment, but it'll come back to me. Looking down now, you can see the extent of the shade in the woodland. And now we're looking from the top of the lawn downwards to the bottom of the garden. Here is the side of the house which I've just planted up with annuals for colour. I've had great fun propagating seeds this year. Normally I wouldn't have had the time, but seeing as we're stuck at home in lockdown, it's given me something to do and kept me sane. Rose arch seat here is covered with clematis again, and this is a Viticella, and it's been in flower actually from spring right through to now, with sunflowers growing out of the pot which are yet to bloom. A recent feature in the garden is this Corton steel water bowl, which is in the process of rusting down. It'll rust down to the same patina over the next sort of 3 to 9 months, so I'm looking forward to that being completed. Another feature that I got this year is this fern, heart-shaped fern sculpture, which goes with the woodland. And we are planning to plant underneath this, where we took out some big shrubs to make room for it. So that's another work in progress for planting next year. I'm going to take you down to the bottom of the woodland now, down the gravel steps, and I'll meet you at the bottom. Now we're coming to the very bottom of the garden. We back onto what's known locally as Dixwood. It's the old Fixby woodland, and it drops down considerably down from this point. It's nice to have the privacy, but goodness me, it makes for hard gardening with tree roots every time you try and plant something. This is an old tree that we had to cut down that was diseased, and as we can't grow anything underneath it, we're gravelling that, and we are going to be putting back our little animals there, Oswald the owl and Freddie the fox. Moving back now into the paved area, you can see all the debris which came down last night in the rain. And then I have a sleeper edging to the banking, basically, to stop the soil eroding all the way down. The bank itself is planted up with lots of shrubs and things that will help to retain the soil. And they're also incredibly useful for flower arranging. Acuba japonica, euonymus, lots of things that you'll recognise, I'm sure. So we'll just take a walk now along the bottom of the woodland. In the distance you can see a fatsia that I planted about 3 years ago coming along nicely. And looking back now up towards the house, you'll see obviously I've got more phormiums there. And at least things like Montbretia will still flower down here, because we do get some dapple sunshine. But mainly it's the only time we get light down here is in the springtime. Huge beech trees in the garden. In the winter time, obviously we get all the beech nuts and lots of leaves to get rid of. We have mainly stone walls down here. And then we have another pair of steps going back up. And earlier this year, I got my husband to take out some ivy, and the wall came with it. So once again, lots more work. And the cable that you can see there is part of the lighting system. On an evening, there are lights in the garden and they light up the canopy of the woodland trees, which is lovely to look at if you're sitting in the conservatory. This grass here is a Corman's Carex Evergold, and the Carex grasses are sedges and they actually don't mind the shade at all. And as this one's quite light in its leaf, I plan to put some more that I'm propagating all the way back up to the sides of the steps. So we're back up the top now, looking down into the woodlands. We have an awful lot of birds sitting in these trees, and I'm afraid to say they do like to leave us little presents that we regularly have to clean away, unfortunately. And the ivy, it's just come to me, is called Sulphur Heart. So, a senior moment there. Well, thank you for coming and visiting the garden with me today. I do hope that it won't be too long before we can see you again. Keep safe, keep well, and look forward to better times.